We're back with another week of This Week in High School Sports. I'm Teresa Whipple here with Steve Willits. And Steve, have you finished your Christmas shopping yet?
Have I started my Christmas shopping yet?
Yeah, me too. I'm in that same
Okay,
boat.
good. I'm not the only one. I don't have very much to do this year, but no. The answer, I guess, to your question is no. I have not finished.
Okay. Well, we'll give you some time after this to do your Christmas shopping as well. But we want to get right to boys basketball is what we're going to talk about.
Talk a little boys basketball this week, and a couple of our teams doing extremely well so far, or this week anyway. We've got to start with the Mountlake Terrace boys. They're now 3-0 to start their season. Two nice victories this week. Home game over Monroe 64-55 on Wednesday. And then on Saturday this week, they went down to Highline Community College where they do an invitational every year, and they played Kent Lake and won that game 51-48. Jace Brakefield, sophomore, having himself a nice week. I think he led the team in scoring one game and was tied for the team lead in another game, the big fellow who plays post for the Hawks. So congratulations to them. They've got a home game coming up this Friday against Snohomish. Edmonds-Woodway started off their season 2-0. They defeated Woodinville 68-66 on Thursday night at Woodinville. Unfortunately, they had to play the very next night, and those back-to-back games can be kind of rough sometimes. They dropped a tough one against Kamiak, but nonetheless, 2 out of 3 to start their season, and according to Meatloaf, 2 out of 3, not bad. And then they've got a game at Stanwood on Wednesday this week, and then they've got Marysville-Pilchuck at home on Friday. You like what I did there, huh?
I did.
Marysville-Pilchuck on Friday is coming to Edmonds-Woodway. Pilchuck bringing with them Raekwon Battle, who is already committed to playing at the University of Washington next year. So that should be a game that a lot of folks might want to put on their calendar this week. And then we're going to talk about the Meadowdale Mavericks, a team that I didn't think we'd talk about a whole lot this week because the first week of the season, the week prior, was a little bit rough. 2 losses out of conference, one of which was to Mariner, a 32-point loss, I believe it was. The Meadowdale Mavericks have bounced back rather nicely since. 3 consecutive victories, including one on Friday night this week over a Jackson Timberwolves team, which is favored by most to win the Wesco 4A conference this year. And a lot of folks have them in the top 10 in the state right now. Meadowdale hosted the Timberwolves Friday night, pulled off a 49-47 victory. So we figured it might be time to bring a few of the Maverick players into studio and talk about that turnaround and talk about the success of that game the other night. So here we are with our interview this week with Hunter, Colton, and Haben, all from the Meadowdale Mavericks basketball team. The Meadowdale Mavericks basketball team picked up their 3rd consecutive victory on Friday night. Not only a victory, they defeated a highly ranked state team in the Jackson Timberwolves. Score was 49-47, and joining us right now, 3 of the members of the Mavericks basketball team. We have, starting on the far side there, Hunter Moen, who is a junior, Colton Walsh, also a junior, and the lone senior on the squad here that's at least with us in studio, Haben Tekle. Guys, congratulations on a big victory the other night. Jackson, this is a team that's ranked number 9 in the state according to the Seattle Times at the 4A level, Haben, and you guys went out and knocked them off. Were you nervous before this game, or did you have confidence that you guys could do it?
I personally had confidence that I knew we could do it. I just felt like the amount of concentration would determine whether it's a W or not.
And you were talking to me off camera a few minutes ago, and you mentioned that one of the things that gives you confidence is you kind of know their personnel a little too. Talk about your experience against some of the guys out there.
So maybe their whole starting 5 was guys I've been playing against since I was maybe 13, 14. So I've also played on their teams. I've also played against them every couple months. So being capable of playing with them and against them, I personally felt like I knew how to play against them, and yeah.
And Colton, I think you were the leading scorer in the game on Friday night. Just talk about the game in general a little bit. You guys were down by 7 late in the first half. Nerves starting to set in at that point? Are you starting to kind of wonder if maybe this isn't your night, or what was the talk at halftime?
Just find open spots and keep running our offense.
Was it just that simple?
Yeah.
And they had 31 points at half. You guys held them to 47. Defensively, were there adjustments made, or just going out and playing Mavs defense?
Mavs defense, but just get out on shooters and get boards.
And Hunter, for you, you've played in some big games at Meadowdale. I know you're starting quarterback on the football team. When you guys pick up a victory over a highly ranked team like that at the stable, what is that experience like?
It means everything, because the confidence level for our team, it rises. the main part of the win was our student section. So like if we have like winning games like that, more kids will come. More games like that will come. Yeah.
So do you feel like the word's starting to get out a little bit that maybe you guys are back? It's a kind of the tale of 2 seasons already, and we're only 5 games in. You guys start off late November, 2 games, non-conference, Burlington Edison and Mariner. And to say that you lost to Mariner would be kind of an understatement. A really tough night that night. Since then, you guys have rebounded to win 3 straight. Haben, is there one thing in particular that's made the difference in these last 3 games, or is it just a series of things? Why is Meadowdale winning basketball games in the month of December that they weren't winning in late November?
I personally feel like it's just another concentration thing. We had 4 returners coming back from varsity last year, and we didn't figure out what our team was and what we were capable of doing. And the past 3 games is an example of what we can do.
The chemistry's starting to get there, and it's gelling, and all of a sudden we're seeing it.
Yeah.
And then for these 2 guys over here, both football players, a little interesting. We talk about this from time to time with various teams. When you're coming off of the football field, it's a different kind of conditioning. It's a different type of sport all around. How hard is it to kind of shake off the basketball rust and get back out there and playing basketball again? What's it like for you, Colton?
It's definitely a little harder, nonstop running compared to playing wide receiver, but it's a little rusty coming back and shooting.
Just the moves and the agilities and everything else. I mean, is it that much different?
Yeah.
And Hunter, for you playing quarterback, it's a different shaped ball, and you're throwing it a little differently. What's that transition like for you from year to year?
It's the conditioning part, because I don't do anything during football. So when I come to basketball, that's the main time when I'm running. The shooting just comes to you. I don't really get rest for basketball, but that's it. Yeah.
So you're telling me there's not a lot of conditioning yet? I've watched you. You're a scrambling quarterback. You run a little bit out there.
Yeah,
Just
for it,
different type of conditioning.
Yeah.
Haben, what about you? It's you play year round. These guys come in off the football field. Can you sometimes see it? I mean, do you almost kind of they're your buddies, right? So do you kind of laugh at them at first, like, hey, this doesn't look like Hunter and Colton yet, or how long does it take usually?
I was hearing that they weren't thinking that they're at their most highest potential within the first week, but I feel like they're capable of working and getting to it within 2 weeks. So
they seem to be doing just fine now, right?
They're doing amazing.
Great. Well, let's hear you guys talk about each other for a second. And Haben, I'll start with you. We'll just go right down the list here. Tell me about Colton Walsh, who's sitting directly on your right. What kind of a player is he? What kind of a teammate is he?
Colton Walsh is maybe one of the most athletic guys in the league. He's capable of putting the ball in the hoop anytime he wants. So, yeah, any offense he can run, any defense he can run. He's long, he's strong. Yeah.
And then Colton, talk about Hunter Moen.
He's a great leader on the team, coming from a big spot like quarterback, so he's a vocal person on the team. He's a great shooter, and he's a long, good defender.
And you're the starting wide receiver on the team, so do you have to be nice to him because he's the quarterback?
Yeah.
Want to make sure that you get your touches this year and next year?
Yeah.
Very good. And then Hunter, swing it back around and talk about Haben Tekle. What kind of a teammate is he?
He's a great shooter and a great ball controller. The defensive side, he's a great leader. He talks, he helps, and it's just everything you need.
How important is defense to this team?
The most important thing, I feel like without defense, we aren't capable of winning games because of how big certain teams are, how fast certain teams are. So just bringing defense and energy from the start. And
Colton, I know you're an offensive guy. I know you certainly put up a lot of points, but if you're not going to play defense for Roger O'Neill, you're probably not going to see the court very much, right?
Not at all.
And you're getting a lot of playing time. So obviously, speaking of coaches, I want to talk about Coach O'Neill in just a minute, but I always look at these assistant coaches on the Meadowdale squad. I just shake my head. There's a lot of varsity head coaching experience on that team. Can you sense that when you're talking to these guys? Obviously, a lot of times when you look at high school teams, you see the assistant coaches, and a lot of them are guys on their way up trying to become head coaches. You've got a handful of assistant coaches that have already been there. Does it show, Hunter? I mean, when you're talking to these coaches and you're getting instructions from them, do you kind of sense that they've got a little more experience than others?
Yeah, they definitely know what they're talking about. Having 3 varsity coaches, it helps us, and yeah. That's what I feel like.
Tell me about these guys a little bit. Tell me about Trey Parker, Colton.
He's a great coach. He's a great defensive coach, and you can tell he's been in that spot before, and he knows what he's doing.
And Haben, you got Chad McGuire on the staff now. He's got head coaching experience also was a phenomenal Wesco basketball player back in his day. What's it like to work with Coach McGuire this year?
McGuire will make you work and do all the little things. So what he's there for is perfecting all the little cuts, all the back doors, all the everything. So he's the one who's getting us in the right spots and making us work.
And then, Hunter, we've got Andrew Matty on the staff. Tell me a little.
He's a great JV coach. He's the reason why we had such a great season last year, 19-1. He just like he makes us go 100% on everything we do. It's like practice. It just goes into the game. He's a great coach, and yeah.
Kind of doing that nice job of laying down the foundation at the JV level, which, as you just mentioned, had a huge year last year. Another JV coach, Connor Hamlet, played a little ball in the NFL for a while there too, and he's also a Meadowdale alum. Colton, I've got to think for you, playing for him at the JV level and also at the football level, it's got to be kind of a big deal, right? What's it like with working with him?
Being on the football field with him it's nice. He helps us on what to do and just like gives us tips on how like we can get to the next level. And on the basketball court, he's a big guy, so it's nice to get advice from him.
Yeah, does he ever get out there and lace him up a little bit and box you guys out? Or?
A little bit.
And then Andy Street, who was also a head coach at Meadowdale not that long ago, now back on the staff. Haben, what's it like having Coach Street around there?
Makes us work. Another one of the concentration guys. I think all the coaches' biggest thoughts are concentration and everything, doing 100%.
And Coach O'Neill, we got to obviously mention the head coach. Hunter, what's it been like working with Coach O'Neill?
It's the first year with him. He's a great coach. The way he coaches us and like from where he has been in high school, it helps us because it makes us realize like where we could be and how good we could be as a team, and it just makes us work.
Now, so we talked about the coaches. Let's talk about the upcoming game. You guys have Snohomish at home at the Stable on Wednesday night. What kind of a game are we expecting from Snohomish? I guess in this league, Haben, you can't really sleep on anybody these days, right? It's a tough league.
Just like us, we were 0-2 and now we're 2-3. So underestimating any team is not an option, and treating every team like they're the best.
Colton, why do people need to get out to the Stable on Wednesday night? Why should they get out to the Stable in any game? We heard Hunter talk about it a little while ago. Do you guys feed off that energy? I mean, does it make a difference?
Yeah, it definitely helps having a big crowd there, them being loud.
And so we'll see if we can get some folks out there. Speaking of loud, I hear we got a few singers on the team too. Tell me a little bit about that. I asked you guys earlier. Hunter's pointing over at you right now, Haben. Are you one of the main singers on the team?
I think I'm one of the best singers on the team, but there's mainly 3, 4. So the locker room will always have someone singing. So yeah.
So this is kind of a pregame freestyle thing? Is that what's going on
It's
here?
just what we do for pregame.
So who generally starts it? And well, maybe I should ask somebody who's not one of the 3 or 4 singers. Colton, when these guys start singing, who's generally the one that kind of instigates the whole thing?
I'd probably say Ray Free.
So Ray Free gets them going, and then everybody kind of jumps in. So Hunter, give me your honest assessment. Who's the best singer on the team?
Well, Ray sings a lot. It's not just basketball when he sings. Like you could hear him around school, just like walking through the hall singing. But probably Julian, he's the best singer.
So Haben, you're willing to concede that then?
I'll still take myself.
So we got Ray, we got Julian, yourself. Anybody else that we should mention?
Singing wise,
Yeah.
I think that's it.
So, and what are the songs of choice? Who are the artists of choice?
I'll always sing a little Michael Jackson. So yeah. And then Ray has a good playlist. Julian has a good playlist too.
What genre are we talking about? What kind of music?
Hip hop. Nick Buckley likes some country. He sings some country.
Oh, he does?
songs,
Okay.
Yeah. So the whole team, just whenever we are singing, it might be something different every time.
And so are you going to give us a little bit on the camera while you got it here?
It's early in the morning. I don't think the throat's up.
You're going to play the early card, okay.
Yeah.
We might get that later on down the road then. And then finally, before we let you guys go, I want to make sure that we give a proper shout out to the girls team. I know, Haben, your sister played there just a couple years ago, so I'm sure you've all got friends on the team. Kind of nice to see them having some early season success. We haven't seen that in years past. Is it a big deal when both teams are playing well?
I feel like if Meadowdale boys are doing good and girls are doing good, everything's fine. My sister was a part of that team, and I do know a lot of girls that are on the team at the moment, so they're working hard, we're working hard, yeah.
So you certainly hope to see both teams continuing with their success. And one last house item that we need to take care of here. A few weeks ago, or I guess it was probably about 2 months ago now, we issued a Action Jackson Plumbing Player of the Game shirt for Hunter Moen. after one of his big football games. Hunter, I'm not even sure which game it was now. I don't recall, but you had a few of them this year.
Yeah.
A few, I think, 400-plus yard game one timer this year.
Around there.
And he's done a few things throughout the course of the season. And we're going to give him the Action Jackson Plumbing Player of the Game shirt for his effort back then. Better late than never, so enjoy that. And you can probably thank this guy here, too. Colton Walsh caught a few of those passes, I think, at the time. So, again, guys, congratulations on a nice week, 3 consecutive wins, and best of luck against Snohomish on Wednesday and throughout the season.
Thank you.
I am so disappointed we didn't get a song out of those guys.
Haben sounded like he might give us a little a tune or two, but or a line or two anyway, and couldn't quite get him to do it. So maybe next time,
Maybe
once
we can
they
get him back in sometime and have him do a little Michael Jackson.
I would have
is
loved
the
to have heard Michael
popular-
Jackson.
Yeah. All right.
And we give him a chance to think about what song he wants to go with Michael Jackson. Do we want to go back in the Jackson 5 days, or maybe a little Off the Wall or Thriller? Or, I mean, so many different options there. So, Haben, if you're watching this,
Yeah, we're counting on you.
you got a couple
next
months
time.
left.
All
Once you
right.
guys win the district championship, no pressure. Come back in here and we'll have you and maybe a couple of those other guys come in and
Yeah.
maybe just sing in the background while we do an interview. Even
I like that.
could deal with that.
Maybe do some dance moves. Well, we're
got some
really
ideas.
off topic.
Just a little.
Okay, we're going to talk girls basketball now.
We are, and 3 of our teams in particular had outstanding weeks. Mountlake Terrace, Meadowdale, and Edmonds-Woodway, those 3 schools combined to go 5 wins and 0 losses this week. And that's saying something when you think of 2 of these programs as having their struggles over the last few years. We'll start off by talking Mountlake Terrace. They ended up defeating Cascade 48-31 on Tuesday. They turned around and beat Mariner 51-25 on Thursday. And we were talking a little bit, and even I think Jonah Wallace mentioned it in one of his posts that he put out there when covering it for MLT News. We think it's the biggest victory margin that Mountlake Terrace has had probably in close to a decade. So nicely done for the Hawks. And for their efforts, we're going to give Kiera Scott this week's Female Action Jackson Plumbing Player of the Week t-shirt. She had 21 points in one of those games, 14 in the other. Again, the Hawks getting 2 nice victories. They've got Bellingham coming up at home on Wednesday if anybody wants to get out there and support them. And then we've got to talk about the other 2 teams as well. Meadowdale Mavericks, 2 huge wins for them also this week. They defeated Monroe 43-25 on Tuesday and Everett 50-40 on Friday. The Mavs are now 2-1 to start their season off, and they're going to be up at Snohomish on Tuesday night, a Snohomish Panthers team that a lot of folks think might be in contention to win the Wesco 3A title this year. So we certainly hope folks get out there and support them. And then Edmonds-Woodway defeating Lake Stevens 62-54 on Friday night. They have a home game against the always tough Stanwood Spartans this Tuesday, and then they go to Marysville-Pilchuck on Friday. So a lot of great action there from those 3 teams. Linwood had a little bit of a rough week. They lost 2 games, but they had already won a couple to start their season off, and they'll be hosting Marysville-Pilchuck on Tuesday night. So plenty of opportunities coming up here this week if you want to get out and support our Edmonds School District girls basketball programs.
Yeah, always good to get into the high school gyms when the weather's a little rainy and not so
And cold, and
cold.
yeah,
It's good time.
'tis the season.
Yes, it is. All right, and we're going to talk football.
We weren't planning on talking football, but all of a sudden this game kind of landed in our laps. And yeah, it's December, and we're going to talk high school football. There is an all-state all-star game coming up at the end of the month on December 29th, 1 p.m. It's on a Saturday at French Field down in Kent, and it's called the Cleats versus Cancer game. And this is a game that was created by Derek Sparks, who is a football player who originally played at Washington State University, a longtime high school coach in the area, and now is coaching down at PLU. And he's created this game as kind of a showcase for high school seniors in the state of Washington, but also it's a game that is intended to raise money for childhood cancer research. His daughter is currently fighting cancer. And so 100 of the top seniors in the state are playing in this game, including 3 players from the Edmonds School District, one of which is Capaccio Cherry, the running back from Edmonds-Woodway. The other 2 players are Mountlake Terrace High School seniors, Jesse James Martineau, who is the quarterback this year for the team, and Alex Paluck, who was offensive and defensive lineman. And we might add a Mountlake Terrace team that made history this year by becoming the first team ever to win a conference or division title in the school's history. So we brought Jesse and Alex in to talk a little bit about the upcoming All-Star game and what their intentions are and how this game benefits both cancer research and them individually. Here's the interview we did with Jesse and Alex. It's time to talk a little football in December. Yes, you heard that correctly. high school state all-star football game coming up at the end of the month. And joining us right now, two of the members from the Mountlake Terrace High School history-making football team, I might add, and we'll talk about that here in just a moment. Two seniors, Jesse James Martineau, who was the quarterback of this year's Hawks football team, and Alex Paluck, who was an offensive lineman. Guys, first of all, Cleats versus Cancer coming up on December 29th down at French Field in Kent. Brand new game this year, so I'm still trying to learn about this as we go along. Jesse, tell me a little bit about what we're doing here in late December.
Yeah, it's a senior all-star game that is trying to help prevent childhood cancer. It was
Now, who's the founder of the game?
Derek Sparks.
Who's a coach at, a lot of people know that name, I think, from back when he was a running back at Washington State University. He's now an assistant coach at PLU, and his daughter has cancer, so this was kind of his brainchild, so to speak, right?
Yeah, definitely.
So now we're playing in a state all-star football game in late December. We just mentioned that a lot of what we're doing here is to help raise money for cancer, and we'll mention how folks can do that in just a moment. But Alex, it's a little bit bigger than that also, in the sense that you guys are still trying to find out where you're going to go to college next year, who may or may not want to recruit you. This is kind of a showcase game for you guys as well, right? This isn't just go out there and have fun. You guys are kind of showing what your skill sets are. How important of a game is this for somebody like you?
It's pretty important because my recruiting process is still pretty open right now. There's going to be a lot of college coaches there. So.
Yeah, indeed. So we've got 100 football players, we think, give or take still. The numbers are still kind of being crunched, and we're still working out some of those logistics. But, Jesse, how did you get put on this team? How did you get nominated, first of all, I guess?
Yeah, I got nominated by the Cleats vs. Cancer staff, which is made up by a lot of different coaches across Washington State. And then I was invited through Twitter originally, nominated, and then I was able to get a phone call by Coach Sparks letting me know that I was drafted by the North.
So 150 players nominated, and then, Alex, there was a draft process, right? A North coach and a South coach drafted you guys. How did you find out you actually made the game?
So first I got nominated by my coach, and then I just got.
Did you get a phone call, an email? How did you find out you were on the team?
I got a text originally.
From Coach Sparks?
Coach Sparks, yeah, and then he led up with a phone call.
And then, Jesse, for you was same deal. Were you kind of waiting by the phone? It's not a live draft like we see on ESPN, right? These guys are meeting in a conference room somewhere, and then you find out after the fact. Were you waiting for that phone call? Did you know the draft was taking place?
Yeah, I knew the draft was taking place, and I was just being patient, I guess, and then I got the call, and I was pretty excited.
So how many different college scouts do we think are going to be there? Is it going to be just a few schools, a lot of schools? What are we projecting?
It's going to be a lot of schools. There's a range from D1s to D2s to D3s, so there's going to be a lot of coaches there.
Okay, so we will see. And you also mentioned to me earlier, Jesse, too, that from what they've been telling you guys, this is going to be a very festive atmosphere, too. They want to kind of promote that as well. Tell me a little bit about what folks can expect if they get down to French Field on Saturday, December 29th at 1 p.m.
There's going to be a lot of fans, very great band. Sumner Band is going to be there, which is one of the best bands in the state. We're going to be tailgating. We're going to be busing to the game, so it's going to be a really fun atmosphere.
So they're trying to ultimately create kind of a college atmosphere, if you will, right?
Oh, yeah, definitely.
And we should point out here, we'll hold this up for the camera, and we'll maybe show this later, but I think we've got school logos for about 50 different schools here, so it's very a lot of representation from schools throughout the entire state, right? Alex, this isn't just guys in Western Washington. You mentioned earlier to me that where are some of these other guys from that you've been able to?
I got to talk to some guys from Yakima, so it's all around the state pretty much.
So Yakima, we got a couple of guys from Union on that state championship team in there too?
Yeah.
And who are you guys playing for? There's obviously Coach Sparks is coaching both teams. Are we talking about local high school coaches, Jesse? Who is it?
Yeah, local, and then just statewide. Coach Cross from Kennedy Catholic. We're going to be playing for Coach Sampson from Rainier Beach, and just a lot of other coaches around the state. Kentwood's coach, Juanita's coach, just a wide variety.
Now, Cross is going to be running the offense, is that what I understand?
Yes.
He has Sam Heward down there this year, who's already committed to playing at the University of Washington in a couple of years. They like to open it up a little bit. Are we thinking you might get to throw the ball once or twice? Is that the hope?
Yeah, hopefully. Coach Cross is a great coach, really great offensive mind, and he really loves passing, so it's going to be really fun.
And do we know where the quarterbacks are from for the North team yet, other than yourself?
Yeah, the Bothell's quarterback, Eric Bainter, is a really good quarterback, so I'm looking forward to competing with him. And then also Jihad from Rainier Beach.
Okay, so we will see how that goes. And then, Alex, for you, I'm guessing there's some pretty big boys in that room when you guys met up. You guys had a team meeting last week, where did your eyes get a little bit big when those guys walked in? You've got some big-time recruits in that room, too, playing on the offensive and defensive lines, right?
Yeah, for sure. There's some big guys, and they all know what they're doing, so it's gonna be competitive.
Is it kind of intimidating when you walk in there and realize because you're not a small guy?
Yeah.
Now, what are you pushing the scales at these days?
290.
So you're 290. I'm guessing when you walk into a Mountlake Terrace practice, there aren't too many other 290 guys. You walk into an all-state football game. Are you not necessarily the biggest guy in the room at that point?
No, I'm not.
Any guys that you recognized or that you know, or are you just looking forward to playing against them?
Yeah, I'm looking forward to playing against basically everyone.
And everyone and anyone, and we've got some. You mentioned to me earlier too, Jesse. There's a few D1 recruits already that have already committed in this game, right?
Yeah, definitely Nate Kelpo, who's committed to UW, and just a lot of other great recruits. Oren Patu, who also went to Rainier Beach, and Giovanni White, I'm pretty sure, who's Lincoln, who has a lot of D1 offers as well. So just looking forward to getting after it with some great players.
And as far as Edmonds School District players, who else do we know that's playing in this game right now, Alex?
Cherry Capaccio.
Capaccio Cherry, yeah.
Capaccio Cherry.
The running back for Edmonds-Woodway, so he'll be out there as well. And I think it's just the three of you right now. And players could still be added, I suppose, as we kind of ramp things up over the next couple of weeks. We will soon find out. And most importantly, how do we raise money for this particular cause? Jesse, what do people need to do if they want to donate towards Cleats versus Cancer, to fight childhood cancer?
Yeah, you can text Cleats to 41411.
So actually get on your phone, text 41411, type in the word Cleats, and then they'll be given an option as to who they want to donate to. Is that correct?
Yeah, and then feel free to press the Mountlake Terrace Football Hawks.
So there's an actual...
Yeah, there'll be an option of
Option on there
what
for-
school you want to donate to, and you can just scroll up and down, and then you can find Mountlake Terrace.
And they don't have to necessarily type Alex or Jesse. It's just a Mountlake Terrace link, and you guys are kind of working in tandem with that then.
Yeah.
So again, text 41411, type the word Cleats in there, and you'll be able to raise money for to fight childhood cancer. A great cause for a lot of great football players who are still trying to make a name for themselves one last time, whether it's Division 1, 2, or 3, various levels. You can also follow the game on Twitter, or follow even leading up to the game. Handle is CleatsV, so CLEATSV. And before I let you guys go, what does the future look like for both of you? Who have you had a chance to talk to yet, and where might you be going? Obviously, you've got a big game coming up in a few weeks on December 29th. Jesse, I know from looking at pictures of the two of you, it looks like you kind of travel together at times with your recruiting visits, right? Where have you guys been so far, and what are your thoughts?
Definitely, we visited a lot of schools. We visited Montana, Portland State, Washington State. Just a lot of great schools.
Alex, have you had a favorite moment in the recruiting process when you're going around to these places? I know a lot of times nowadays they let you put on the uniforms and
Yeah.
you get the pictures and everything else.
Yeah, for sure. Like junior days, it's a great atmosphere. So I liked the junior days last year.
So have you had a favorite moment though in the whole process, or just being able to go around to all the schools and...
Yeah, pretty much. Just getting to talk to the coaches and seeing what a college football game day is like there.
I'm guessing you've watched a few college games on the sidelines too then through all this, right?
Definitely watching the Apple Cup on the sideline was pretty fun.
Oh, so you were down there on the sideline for the Apple Cup.
Yeah, watching like the atmosphere in the snow, it was pretty special.
I can imagine. Well, hopefully no snow on December 29th. Again, Cleats versus Cancer. It is the North versus the South. French Field in Kent, December 29th, 1 p.m. start time. Jesse, James, Martineau, Alex Paluck. Guys, best of luck in that game. And hopefully we'll be talking about you guys and watching you play on Saturdays in the future after the game at French Field.
Thank you.
Thank you.
A good game for a good cause.
Absolutely. One more chance to watch football.
Yeah, that's right.
Saturday, December 29th, might be a little bit cold, frigid,
Yeah.
but at least it's a 1 p.m. start time, so maybe a little bit of daylight perhaps, and one last chance to watch our high schoolers hit the gridiron before we completely put that to rest for a few
Yeah,
months.
that's right. Okay. Well, now we're going to move on to swimming.
Swimming season got underway this week, and one of our teams doing fairly well. The Edmonds-Woodway Warriors swimming program defeated Cascade and Mountlake Terrace in a dual meet the other day, and we'll single out a couple of the swimmers individually. Lucas Mraz had a victory in the 200 individual medley and also won 2 relay races. And then we're going to go ahead and pull out our shirt one more time and give out our Action Jackson Plumbing Player of the Week shirt to Anton Tepluoff from Edmonds-Woodway. He won the 50 freestyle event, the 100 butterfly, and he was also a member of 2 relay teams that picked up victories that day in the 200 medley relay and the 200 freestyle. So 4 victories for Anton. How about a 5th? How about a shirt too? So Anton, you are the Action Jackson Plumbing Player of the Week, and congratulations to the Warrior swimmers on a nice start to their season.
Very good. Well, and wrestling also had some results to report.
Yeah, we'll give a nice shout out here to the Edmonds-Woodway Warriors wrestling team, as well as Meadowdale for that matter too. They both participated in the A-Town Throwdown. It's kind of fun to say.
Nice.
Up at Arlington High School over the weekend. Edmonds-Woodway picking up the most points as a team. Meadowdale finishing 4th. We don't have the results yet as to how many schools were there. I think it was in the low teens perhaps, but both teams finishing in the top 4. And 2 of our wrestlers winning their weight class in that one. Ethan Nguyen from Edmonds-Woodway won the 113-pound weight class. And Grayson Lecomte, who we talked about last week, who won the Edmonds invite for his weight class at 132. He picks up another victory this week, winning the A-Town Throwdown 132-pound classification. And the Warriors also earlier in the week, participating in a triple duel, defeated Lake Washington, Arlington, and Snohomish individually. So Brian Alfie and the squad, once again, looking like they are fairly dominant and are going to have themselves one heck of a year. So way to go, wrestlers, and we'll be talking about them as the season progresses.
Yes, we will. And we will have more results for you next week when we come back. But meanwhile, get going on that shopping if you haven't started, and we will see you soon.
Take care.